Hi everybody, this is Tracy from Tracy's Art and Craft, and today we are going to be making as many journaling cards and tags as we can out of one piece of 12 by 12 sheet. So yeah, basically I'm going to be using half this sheet for journaling cards and the other half for tags. We're going to make them, decorate them, and I'm going to show you that you can make quite a lot for your journal out of just one piece of 12 by 12. And that's kind of like my plan. I'm going to do that for a couple of weeks to show you that you don't need to have massive amounts of stock to be able to make a full journal. And each 12 by 12 piece of paper can make so much. You could make a whole journal out of just one pad of 12 by 12. So I'm going to show you what to make out of one piece of paper, and let's see how we get on. The first thing I want to do is cut the paper directly in half. I'm going to bring up my cutter again because I am desperately trying to use things I buy. I bought it for myself because a lot of people use cutters, and but usually what I would use is, so I'm just marking it up to 6 inches. Normally I would use a craft knife and a ruler, and that's just how I prefer to use things. So there we go, we've got it now in two pieces. One piece is going to be for tags, so I'm just going to leave that aside. The other piece is going to be for journaling cards. Now I'm going to cut this piece into 4-inch blocks so that they're all 6 by 4, which I think makes a lovely size. There's one journaling card. And there's the other two. I'll put this aside for now. We'll pull that back out when we do the tags. Let me just pull my seat a little closer. There we go. Sorry if I got in frame there. So this is what we're left with. You can have them upright. You can have them sideways. They could, if you flip down just one edge, if you fold over one edge, they could be like a little flip up, whatever you want. I'm going to keep them just simple journaling cards today. We're going to keep it really simple, really easy. The next thing I want is my corner rounder. I love to round the corners. If you don't have a corner rounder, one nice way is to just snip the edges off. I'll show you that now so you can see what it looks like. You can just snip the little corners off, and that leaves you with a little decorative edge without getting a corner rounder out, without fiddling around with a penny. You know, you could get a penny and just draw around the penny and then cut it out. If you want to do it without fiddling around, maybe you're a beginner, you're not feeling very confident, and you just want to do something simple, you could just snip the corners off and it still gives it a nice finished look. So I'll leave that one with the snipped corners. And then this one I'm going to round the corners. There we go. And then, I don't know, maybe you have picked up something a little bit fancy. And this one is a fancy corner rounder. That's what I call it, a fancy corner rounder. It's nothing, it's a corner rounder basically, but it cuts out a flower at the same time. So maybe you want to use something a little bit more decorative. And I think that's how we're going to do these cards. We're going to go from very simple and easy, upper level, to show you that we actually use very simple techniques to make very decorative items. So if we're going to go on to the really simple one, let's start with that. Really, really simple. What you want is a little bit of plain paper. Now when I say plain, it wants to have a little something on. Maybe it's a bit of book page, maybe it's a bit of music sheet. I'm just going to have a little look, see what I've got up here. I have some printed off music sheet paper. I'm not sure if I want to use that. Sorry, just having a little look, deciding what I want to use. Do you know what I'm going to use? a piece of proper music sheet. But it is pale, this one. Because I haven't coffee dyed it or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just coffee dye it up. And let me show you what I use and how simple this is to do. Real beginner level, really, really easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out the way so I don't get any on there. This is just, it got heated up a little bit because of my son put it close to the cooker and I only just saved the bottle. But this is just some coffee and water, and that is it. Coffee and water. To what ratio? I don't know. I dump it in. I don't do anything fancy. I know some people do. I don't. I just, and it's not because I'm not a beginner, so I know. I change it up. So this one's actually lighter than my last one. So all you do is dampen it down, get a dry wet wipe, and just rub it in. This helps smear it around, but also helps it to dry just that little bit quicker. Now if you want to dry it, simple things you've got around your house to help dry it: a radiator, or maybe you've got a hairdryer. I'm going to use my heat tool quickly, but you don't need it. A hairdryer does exactly the same job as a heat tool, except it's a little bit more blowy. There we go, that's mostly dry now. So yeah, it's exactly the same as a hairdryer. A hairdryer will take exactly the same time. And that has just taken the white off, just to prove it to you, that's the actual other side. So it has really sort of darkened it into an ivory colour paper. So let's bring in our card again. We're going to take our music sheet, book page, you know, maybe you've got an old letter you don't want to use. You can use junk mail. If it's got some nice writing on, even if it hasn't got nice writing on, pop a bit of coffee on it, distress it a bit, and you've got yourself a bit of cover, and you don't need to go out and buy stuff. And I really want to emphasise that, because a lot of people feel like they've got to have everything us crafters have, and you don't. You don't have to buy a single thing. Obviously 12 by 12 paper I've bought, but maybe you've got something else that's decorative, you know. So I'm just going to glue that on, just like so. I'm going to bring over some glue stick, because maybe you haven't got a lot of money to be spending out. Maybe you're not going to be using all the fancy glues. So here we have glue stick. In this little bottle here I've got some PVA. So PVA is really super cheap also. You can get it in supermarkets all over the place. Look in the children's section, it's the same PVA. There we go. Of course you can ink round anything you wish if you have ink, but I'm not going to bother, because say you're a beginner, you don't have ink, you're not going to go out. I do want to tell you one little tip though. If you are going to get ink, here in the UK, Memento inks are cheaper than Distress inks. Now Memento is a dye ink, which is like Distress ink. It's not like the Distress oxide. However, this one is roughly the same colour as Ground Espresso. Although this is an oxide, so it comes out a little bit more, how can I put it, pale. It's sort of got a dusty look to it, but they're roughly the same colour. Okay, so you can go out and get cheaper inks. You don't have to go get the brands that people are using. on here all the time. I actually prefer Memento. They still have the felt pad for stamping. I prefer a felt pad to a sponge. That is because you get a clearer stamp, I've found. However, saying that, here are two that I still really like. This one comes from the range here in the UK, and this one is a metallic, and it's a purpley colour, and this one is a rose gold. Both of those are sponges. Absolutely love them. So I do even have some sponge ones as well. So don't be afraid to go out there, try the cheap things if you're going to buy things. Don't go straight for the expensive. So we've got our piece of paper on. Sorry I went off on one there, but I just wanted to sort of, I'm trying to give as many tips as I can. So what do we want to add to that piece of paper? Well, what might we have? Let's think. We might have some really tiny scraps of fabric. Absolutely ideal for this type of thing. So let's look through. We could put on anything. So anything that has come off from your cutting away of anything. So say you're a seamstress, you might have some. If you haven't, you can use, I don't know if I've got any in here. You can use plain bed sheet. I'm not sure if I've got any in here. Ah, there we go. This is just come from plain bed sheet. You can dye up bed sheet. You can use coffee dye to dye up bed sheet. It dyes really, really well. We just put a little squirt on this, roll it around, and it dyes up really, really well with the coffee dye. You can also coffee dye it up and then stick it in a tumble dryer or something if you have a tumble dryer. Not everybody does. You could pop it on a radiator, and then it dyes up really nicely and gives you another colour. You could also use a bit of food colouring. I've used that. I mean, we're not making these to wash in a washing machine, are we? They're gonna be, you know, pretty dry. So let's go for the bed sheets. Let's do that. So we've only got PVA, and that's what we're going to use. It will stick down thin fabrics without a problem, but it does take time to dry. So what you're doing at the moment is, the point of collage is to get down your plain pieces first. So we're putting down plain pieces. We have got a little bit of fabric here, that's fine. If you wanted another layer of plain pieces, you could. I'm not going to bother right now. I want to keep it simple. The next item you do is decorative paper, something a little bit pretty. You could take another piece of 12 by 12. You could take another piece of 4 by 4. Sorry, 6 by 6. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I've got a bit of fog in my phone. Let's think. What are we going to do? How about we look at a magazine? Now you can get these magazines, you don't have to buy them brand new. Obviously you won't get the bits and pieces with them, but you don't have to buy them brand new. And you can get them really, really cheap in charity shops. So let's say you've got a magazine. I'm just going to look for something that is not a picture but is pretty pattern, is what I'm aiming for. So you get a lot of paper in some of these magazines as well, which will last you a while. They're all roughly about A4 size. How about this really pretty pattern just here? So I'm just going to rip this out of the magazine. There we go, just take that out. I'm not going to use any skill here, we're just going to tear. Get some of this pattern paper. I like that little bow that's on there too. There we go. Decide where you want to layer it. It could be anywhere you so wish. I'm not going to say Pritt Stick is permanent. You know, it can be a pain, it can have moments of lifting. If you're concerned that what you're doing is going to lift, there are a few things you can do. You can stitch onto this, or you can just go around the edges with a little bit of PVA and then stick it down. So you glue the whole thing, put stick, and then just go around the edges a tiny bit of PVA. And that will sort of hold all that down. I'm just going to take this last little corner piece here. Like so. And just have that up here. Now we have our plain background piece. Oh, I have lifted this off. This isn't sticking very well because it's wet. So I'm going to put a lot of glue down and leave it there. And hopefully that will stick, but the wetness of the thing is affecting it. So now what we have is we have our background piece. We have our card, our background piece, which is always plain. We have our more decorative pieces, more decorative paper, and then we have our fabric. Next we're going to go for imagery. We want to put an image on here. There are a multitude of ways that you could do that. You could fold a piece of paper in half, cut out a heart. You could, maybe you've got some stickers, some butterflies. There's so many. I'm going to go for stickers today. I just got some stickers that my husband bought me. And they are about here somewhere, which I've ticked out. Here we go. Ooh. So I'm just looking for a nice one. Some of these are a bit Halloween-y, as you can see there. That's a real heart. I'm keeping these for Halloween, so they do have a purpose. I do have somewhere here these really nice rose ones. See, that is so nice, so pretty. So I'm just going to pop that onto there, like so. We'll try to avoid that wet piece of fabric there. Lift it up a little. There we go. Right, I'll leave those stickers there for now. And then maybe we want a word. So I'm going to actually use the magazine to go for the word, so that we're not, you know, so that I can show you it could be something for free. Here we go, I found a word. We've got beautiful here, so I'm going to use that word right there. I've got to tear all the way in to get this one word. Obviously, if you want to keep pictures, you'd be more careful with your tearing. Just making sure you kept, you know, the pictures intact. For me, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I keep magazine pictures, sometimes I don't. But I do keep the magazines, and I do use them as glue books, which is where you glue on top of them, so you don't get your table messy and things. I also use them as actual glue books, so you collage onto them and things. There we go, so maybe we want a word. We're going to have trouble getting this word to stick here because of my wet fabric, so always make sure you dry your fabric before you use it. I'm just doing this just to show you for quickness. We would put our word on there. And one last tip is, there we go. I've got these little stickles, they're called little glitter glues from Dovecraft. I get these really cheap from the range. However, you can use children's glitter glue, exactly the same. The tip isn't as fine, but it works the same. So you can just use that. And I'm just going to go around the edges of this word, giving it a little bit of sparkle. Like so. Maybe we'd like to do a few dots. And maybe a little bit in each corner. There we go, and there's our really pretty, very beginner journaling card. As simple as that. And I know they seem like complicated steps, but maybe if you sort of went through, paused the video, did that step, went through again, paused the video, did the next step, then you'd come to see that it's really easy. And once you do that a few times, it's going to really come second nature to you, and you're going to start progressing through. So there is that one. We're going to move up a level now, go on to something a little bit more. We've got a little bit more products maybe, things like that. So we've rounded the corners of this, and maybe you've picked up a brown ink. So I'm just going to get my new brown ink and the dauber. And I'm just going to ink round all my edges. Now the trick to inking round is, if you want it thin and just a little bit, you have it at a 90-degree angle with your dauber. If you want a bit more like I have here, you have it at more of an angle. There we go, so it's more flatter to the surface. And then you get this more of a hazy look. It's personal preference to which you use. Don't forget to don't neglect the back. Don't forget to do the back. There we go. Now we've inked the edges. I'm just going to do this rubbish that I've got on my desk. Now we're going to go on to putting something on the back. Again, you want something plain and things like that. So I'm going to go on and I'm going to do a few pieces rather than just one. So I'm going to do some music sheet again. And I'm going to do some book page. I've got a few book pages down here. Just pull up this. Ooh, let's get that out of the way. So also the trick to tearing is trying to not have any corners. Also, if you put your thumbs close together, you can get a neater look if you're trying to, you know, if you're having trouble getting it neat. So this time we're going to use some tacky glue. Let's see if my tacky glue is going to play ball today. I noticed that my tacky glue plays up depending on the weather. I can feel that that's not going to do well, so I'm just going to get a pin. Just making sure it's all clear. So yeah, sometimes when it goes from hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold, I notice a problem. Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah also notices the same problem. Now I'm not sure if it's our heating, if it is because it's going from hot to cold, but the glue seems to thicken up a little. You can add a little bit of water, but sometimes I add too much, so I tend not to. There we go. Let me just get my magazine so I don't mess up my desk, because I'm going to. I know I am. There we go. Now the good thing about using a magazine here to glue on top of is that you can just tear a page off when it gets too gluey. You can throw it away or anything like that. So if you can hear that growling, that is my dog. I think the cat's gone near him. So then I'm going to pop down some of this. Of course you can ink round each of these pages. I like to keep them plain for the underneath layer. There we go. So then maybe what else? We want some decorative paper now. So I'm just going to pull in one of my pieces that I've been working on. Now you don't want a picture like we have here. You want more of this decorative stuff. So this is one of my digitals, so maybe you've got digitals yourself, or maybe you haven't, maybe you've got just some A4 paper, that's fine. So how do I want this? I think I want some of this on here. This paper here is from Happiness and Crafting. Will be linked down in the description box. This is just something I'm working on at the moment for my design team project next month. Oh, no, I had it like that, didn't I? A dry wipe, I would say, for all levels is a must. I just use cheap baby wipes. The real economy ones work way better than things like Pampers, Huggies, stuff like that, because they tend to fall apart a little bit. They get a bit fluffy. I think I'm going to stop there for decorative pieces because I really do want to see the plain paper come through. So I'm going to stop there. But now I want to go for the main image. So I'm just going to have a little look at what I've got. Now, part of layering up is we're going to want some fabric. So I'm going to pull out this cheesecloth here. I'm going to be using that. And I'm just going to look for a main image that I want on my journaling card. That's a bit big for what I want, I think. I'm just pulling out these because I will be wanting small images too. So there we go, we've got our main image. Now I don't want this main image to be square like it is because I just don't like how it's sitting in context of its profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear around the edges. Now when you're tearing, one, you want to keep your thumbs close together, but two, if I tear left side down, right side up, you can see I don't get the white core of the paper showing. Whereas if I was to tear left side up, right side down, hey, so a thing happened. You did get cut off. I did start again and we lost loads of footage. I'm not sure why, but the file corrupted for absolutely no reason. So I'm going to show you what I was doing. I've had a look at the first video and that is fine. But the next video is just, it's not showing up at all, completely corrupted. If I can get my son to help me do that, I will have that video for you. If not, then I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. Sometimes these things just happen. They, you know, things have a moment. So what I did was I tore out this image, I inked around it. I stuck a bit of cheesecloth down first and then I put the image on. I then put the butterfly on and that was just stuck down with a little bit of tacky glue in the middle so that the wings can come up, so it has a 3D effect. And then I just put these little row of pearls and a rose pearl down, and how I stick these down is I put a little bit of tacky glue onto the back of them, because if you trust just the sticky thing that they come with, it pops off really easily. So if you add just a little bit of tacky glue or 3-in-1, they stay down, and that is all that I did with that. Yeah, so I'm so sorry that I've lost the footage, because I have started the more complicated one and I'm going to try to explain to you what I've done there. Luckily I haven't gotten very far before I checked the time and then found out that I went to start a new one and the whole thing corrupted. So I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I can pull it off, but if not, this is where we're at. I also inked, I don't know if you would have seen that, but I inked the back of the bow just so it doesn't look plain white next to everything else. So that's that piece. On the more complicated one, I was showing you how more professionals just get on and do it. They can't explain all the time why they're choosing these pieces, but the same rule does tend to apply, that the plainer pieces go down first, then the decorative, and then the accent pieces, which is these little pieces just here, the really pop out pieces, and then last of all we tend to do the really sort of fine decoration. So what I've done here is I have added a little pocket to give it a little bit of something extra. We could put a tag in or something. So I've done that. I had punched out the corners in the bottom so that they matched. I then tore from one of my digitals, I tore out a piece of the writing paper, put that on, and then I put this decorative item on, all stuck down with a little bit of tacky glue. Nothing special yet. So hopefully you understand what I've done and that we're all caught up. I do apologise for all of that. I really hope my son can get that back, but if not, that's life, isn't it? I pulled this piece in, I'm just not sure if I want to use it now. Yeah, I'm not sure about that piece. I'm wondering if I want it on the back, that would be nice. So yeah, another thing is you might want to decorate the back. I'm going to add a little ink just around the edges, I think. Just a tiny bit. I'm only using what's left on the dobber. I can't believe I lost all that footage. Oh. Things do not always go right for me. I am new to YouTube and things like that, but I do know how to film, you know. I've never had it corrupt before, but it's only a matter of time, really. These things do happen. I have had an SD card corrupt while it was in my computer, not while it was in a camera or phone. So yeah. So there's that piece. I have with me a whole bunch of butterflies. Now these butterflies come from a whole wide range of artists. I can't tell you who they are. Some are mine, some are from other artists. I think I want a couple of pink ones actually, just to bring out the pink. Yep, I like that. Right, first things first, do I want any green placed on here? Yes, I do. So if you don't want your 3-in-1 to seep through, you just run your finger over it. And that just thins out that bead of glue, stops that seeping through. Again, I'm just going to ink very lightly around the edges just to catch any white that may be left from cutting. Because it happens to the best of us. There we go. Now maybe actually we want to burnish this, so I'm just going to get my tool and my foam. Now this is just, you can get special tools and things like that, of course you can. I don't, I'm notorious for it, I like to use what I've got. This is just some kiddies craft foam in some square shapes, and I just glued 3 together, and that made a perfect base for burnishing things. And these tools, you don't have to get this one, there are pastry versions that are a little bit cheaper. This came in a massive set. You had all sorts, all sizes in the set. So now that I've burnished that, that will give more of a pop when that sits down. So let's pop that one just there. Just hold it in place while it just tacks itself down. There we go. And I'm just going to burnish this one as well. I use a slightly smaller ball because the wings are slightly smaller. There we are. I have a habit of always trying to put my butterflies going the same direction. I don't know why. You have to fight against that because it doesn't look good when they're all going in the same way. Unless of course you're making out they're flying away from something. There we go. So what else could we do on there? Well, we could add a little glitter to our butterfly wings, I think. Again, you can just use children's art glitter glue. You don't need to be using this stuff. I do sometimes pull out my kids' art glitter glue too. It's exactly the same. It's all good. There we go. There we are. Now a nice thing to do is to add a little bit of bling down the centre of your butterflies. So I'm going to bring in some bling. I'm just going to look at how long I want it. I think I only want it 5 long. Oh, that's still on the scissors. Just pop it over there for later. So these are all sort of stuck together, these ones. I'm not sure where I got these from. I think I got them from the range. May have even bought them from Amazon. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just going to add. Oh, I should have added some glue to that. That's fine. They'll pop off later and I'll add some glue later. I will remember to add glue this time. See, we all forget. We all do it. It's fine. Things happen and you can fix them later. It's not a problem. Point of crafting is that it's meant to be relaxing. You're meant to enjoy it. So don't put so much pressure on yourself that you know that it's not enjoyable anymore. Sorry, I don't have nails at the moment. I have been biting them due to stress, which I know is a filthy habit. I know. I'll start growing them again soon. There we go. Just use my scissors just to push them down to the glue. There we go. And then maybe we'd like to gild the edges a little bit. Maybe we'd like to add a little bit of something to all the edges. So maybe we'll just pop a little bit here and there. Just tying in the gold. So the way I do that is I like to not just put it on the edges, but also just sort of rub it around a bit randomly. So it looks like you've been making a little bit of a mess and gotten stuff all over your work. It really adds something to it. And I'm going to end with a little stamp on the back. And I thought I'd try out one of my new flourishes that I've got here. I think I'll just try out a little one. They're always stuck on so hard when you first get them. Oh my days. You literally feel like you're going to rip them whenever you get them, when you first get them. I have somewhere down here a little, big block. That will do. It's a bit excessive, but it will do. It will do. Right, so I'm just going to use my ink, push it into my brown ink. There we are. I love it. It's so pretty. So there's our journaling cards. Let's pop a few things away and we can get on with our tags now. And I hope that gave you a few ideas of how you could either do a really simple design, a bit more complicated, or something that, I mean, all of these I would create depending on level of interest that I had in the moment, what it was I wanted to do in the moment and things. So let's get rid of a few bits and pieces for a second, so that we can start off with a bit of a clear ground, you know, because it gets a little bit too much, doesn't it? So we now have this. Now my tags, I would like to cut them 6 by 3. And I don't have the 3 mark on here, which is a pain. That is 4. That is the half mark there. So I'd say 3 was about there. I'm going to work with that. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm going to have to mark the 3-inch mark on here myself, I think. This was just a cheap one. I think it only cost about £5. There we go. That's roughly right, actually. Thank God. So what I do is, when I get on my tags, this one's going to be different, but all of these are roughly the same. I cut an edge, oh, get it right. There we go. And then take one of these, flip it over, and then cut the next corner off. And there's your basic tag shape. There we are. Let's just do this one as well. This one's separate because it's a little bit smaller than the others. There we go. So we've got 3 journaling cards and 4 tags. Now these tags are absolutely beautiful, some of them on their own, but I'm still going to decorate them up anyway. I'm so sorry, I was just getting my hole punch. So, I'm just going to punch some holes throughout all of these. I eyeball centre, you can mark centre if you wish, that's okay, whatever takes your fancy. I'm not sure what punch this is, I'm trying to see if there's a marking on it. Yeah, I'm not sure what size this one is, but it's quite a large hole. There we are. Now another thing I like to do is I like to round my corners on my tag sometimes. So I'm going to do that, but I like to use a small corner rounder for this part. So this one's a small corner rounder compared to, say, this corner rounder here, which is a lot bigger. There we go, so you can see the difference between the corners. So I like to use a small one on my tags. I think it finishes them off just really nicely. Again, if you don't have a corner rounder, you could just cut the corners off. You could draw around a penny, anything like that. Now, for this one, I'm going to show you how I mass decorate. So for instance, I've got 4 tags. I want to get them decorated now. I want them done, out of the way. I'm going to show you how I mass decorate. So the first thing I do is I spread them out. like so. Then I get some base paper, and I start to tear out bits that I fancy. I take off the white, place it down, there we go. We've got our base pieces down. I'm going to add on a little bit of book page as well. So I just try and find some without pictures because I don't want the picture parts on. There we go. Next I'm going to want my decorative paper on. There we are. And I'm just going to get decorative paper for the other two. Let me see what I've got in my drawers. Not in there. Oh. Actually, I think I'll use some of this again. There we are. So now from there I'll begin to glue down and get all these bits stuck down. I do have to bring in my glue thing again because I really don't want to mess up my mat straight after doing it. As you notice, I haven't inked my tags yet. I ink them around the edges at the end because some of this stuff does go over the edge a little bit. But you can ink your individual pieces. So for instance, I'm going to ink this one and let that white area soak up all the ink. Sorry if I'm coming off screen a little bit. Let me glue over here. I'm starting to pull everything a bit towards me. There we go. I'll leave that one aside. And then I'll come to do the next one. Gluing them down in the order that I placed them. So making sure I've got the bottom one that I'm gluing on first. You do have a secondary tacky glue to move everything if you want to, as long as you don't get the fast tack one. The fast tack one will take away that second that you have to move everything. There we go. I'm just going to check the time as well, make sure I haven't lost you. Hopefully we won't lose any more footage. There we go. I did have to start that again, so that's done. So again, I'm just inking around the edge. There we go. That is another one done. So it can be a little bit time consuming when all is said and done. But it's much easier to do it conveyor belt style, especially when you want to come to fill your journals at the end. I think it's always easier to have all these pieces done, ready made, and you can just slot them into pockets that maybe you've forgotten to fill and things like that. I'm not saying I always craft like this, because sometimes I like to do it what I call slow crafting, where I just do one piece at a time, like I've just done for you back there on those journal cards. But time is not always our friend, and sometimes we have to get stuff done a little bit quicker, and this is how I get them done quickly. I'm not saying I'm optimum at managing my time, because I could have inked all these first, things like that. You know, but you have to do what just suits you, really. But at least you get to see real time how, you know, someone like me might do it, how we manage our time. This, I did want to take this down a little bit. I've left quite a few plain bits just sort of up here. That's because I really like the flowers that are up there. Don't worry if your paper's torn like it is here, the glue will seal it back together. Just like that. There we go. So now I'm going to go around and ink all of these. And this is why I wait till the end, because a paper like this can just get caught in. This one. I'm not doing the backs just yet. I'll have a look at those after. There we go. This one is going to be a long video. So from there, I'm going to choose some images for these. There we go. Yep, I really like that. So I'm just going to stick that down straight away, I think. There we go. Yeah. So again, I'm literally just picking out images and deciding on the spot what I feel like putting down. And yes, it does mean sometimes we cover up some of the pretty paper we've put on and things like that. But this is how you feed your creativity. You put these papers down, but it helps to spark an idea. And it doesn't matter if you cover them up, you know. It's fine to cover them up, change our minds, things like that. I think I want to ink this one. There we are. And the last one I think I'm going to have just like that. Now from here I want to pop into these roses that I have scattered about. I want to pop a little bit of the stickles, art glitter glue, whatever. Okay, I'm sort of putting it randomly around all of the roses. Nope, I think that is it for that one. Just pop all of these away. Now we want a little bit of bling on some of these, I think, before I put the strings on. So I have these lovely bits and pieces here. Let's just make it straighten up. There we go. Oh, too far. There we go. A couple of pearl ones on the back. I might as well use them. And one here. Just pop them on a bit randomly. Oops. I'm being all fingers and thumbs here. So I'm just wiping off the glue off the top of it. There we go. And the last one, I think I'm going to add one of the butterflies instead of the other blings. Add a little glue down just to help it stay down. And there we go. There's our tags. So all we have to do now is just add in some string. Now I've just got this baker's twine here, and I'm going to use that. So what I like to do is take off a good chunk, fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. Cut this bottom piece like so. Feed it through front to back. Take that loop, feed the strings all through, and then you get this really nice neat look with really long dangles. You can pop charms onto the ends of these and all sorts, but that is a really nice way to sort of get all this stuff down without to get these on with them looking neat, tidy. Of course you can use ribbon here, you can use embroidery floss, you can use wool. I like to use the fluffy wools or the eyelash trim. as well. I'm just using this because it's on my journal and it will sort of tie in. Oops, got a bit glitter glue on the back of there. Now, if you've got children that are a little bit older, they also like crafting. This is a good thing to get them to do. So if my daughter was here, I'd say, here's the threads. And I'd give them to her like this. I'd say, could you double them? And she'll always do it this way because I've shown her before. And when she shows them, they kind of know. And then I'll ask her just to put them through. And she does this, all this for me. It's called child labour. She only does it if she wants to. If she's bored and she's sitting with me, she'll do it. But if she's not in the mood, she won't. It's just fine. There we go. So these are our tags. We've got these 4 beautiful tags, absolutely no waste. We also got 3 gorgeous journaling cards. Oh, I've dropped my dauber down. So there we go. All from a 12 by 12 sheet, no waste. And I hope I've given you enough tips there. I've really dragged this video out. I do apologise. If you're still here, you are a champion. Wow. I should really put a pre-warner on this. Grab a coffee. It's going to take a while, you know. If you're still here, brilliant. If you're not, just use bits of the video that interest you. You know, you don't have to be watching the whole things. So I hope you've had a great time. You know the guff. I'm not going to go through it. We've spent long enough, but everything's down in the description box. And I will see you soon. Love to you all. Bye for now. Bye.